you all for coming to The Mind Detective, which, as you all know, is my new book about my extraordinary life and the mind. Primarily because I'm dyslexic, so even writing an email for me is a nightmare. So this book proves very clearly that anything is possible. I couldn't read or write properly, which was a bit of a dilemma. I was a bit wayward when I was about 12 years old. I was, sleeping with people, I was taking drugs, I was smoking, I was selling cigarettes at school, always an entrepreneur. So I went to live in London when I was about 18. I just packed up my bags and left and got on a train. I got managing director of one of the hugest recruitment companies in London, and nobody knew that I couldn't read or write. And to cut a long story short, by the sort of end of the 90s, I had the #1 financial recruitment headhunting firm in the City of London. And it was a real shock to arrive at this place that I'd imagined was the place where happiness lives, and it just wasn't there. So without any thought whatsoever, I just sold the houses, sold the business, and put all my money into the .com stock market. Packed my bag and moved to LA to live happily ever after. 3 months after moving there, the stock market burst, the bubble burst, and within 7 days I lost £11 million. Reached this place where I couldn't handle what was happening to me. It was so powerful that I just didn't want to be here anymore. So I decided to end my life. And thank God, or whatever, I woke up the next day and I was still alive. So I went for a walk on the beach in Hermosa, and I sat and I watched the sunset. And for the very, very first time in my life, I felt gratitude. And this very attractive, because in LA, even homeless people are attractive, this out-of-work actor who'd been homeless for years came up to me and said, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I'm just so glad I'm here. And I told him a bit about what had happened. And I said, I'm hungry, I've got no money, I'm living in LA, I don't know anybody, my sister-in-law's an alcoholic, I can't go home, I've just tried to kill myself, I don't know what to do. And he put his hand in his pocket and he had this orange. And he said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to share this orange, because this is the food that's going to make you and I better. For quite a while, about a year, I'd been bleeding, and I didn't have any medical insurance, because when you live in the US, if you don't have medical insurance, you don't get to see a doctor. So I couldn't just ring up a doctor. And I'd been feeling really poorly, I'd lost a lot of weight, my mind, I was crazy, everything was just crazy. And I woke up one day and I collapsed. And Holly called for the paramedics, and I was resuscitated, rushed into hospital, and they told me that my blood count was 3.7, so basically I was like a fraction away from death. And the following day the doctor came and told me that I had an 8-pound fibroid in my uterus, which was the size of a football. It had basically allowed me to bleed pretty much to death. The blood transfusions hadn't worked, and I've since found out it's 1 in a billion chance that your body rejects a blood transfusion. The first night we were in the homeless shelter, I remember waking up and there was a man over me with a little knife at my throat. And I looked him in the eye and I said, we'll just do it, because I'm dying anyway, so just do it. Murder me, rape me, do whatever you want to do. And he looked at me and he ran off. He got me a pillow, a cup, an extra blanket, and within 3 days we became the light in this difficult place. And I started life coaching them and recognizing, my life had been terrible and all these things had happened, but these people were way worse off than me. I mean, at least I had a chance. At least I was in LA, and everything was falling to bits. I had enough money to go to a bookstore, and I bought a book called Modern Man in Search of a Soul, which is a book written by Carl Jung, who is one of the great Freud's friend and one of the great masters at working out your mind. It was the hardest book I've ever read in my life. It's so hard. But there were bits of it that actually really resonated with me, and he helped me. He helped me recover, and he helped me understand that as an individual thinker, away from the pack, with everything away from me as an individual thinker, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I know what I know is right for me, and I am going to do something against the whole pack. He taught me to be individual.